Oh my hands are so dry. I just walked my dog outside and I of course wash my hands the minute that I came home. So what I do encourage you to do is the minute that you come back home, you wash your hand and then you use a moisturizer. I'm using the Klairs the Moisture Magic. Hello, bonjour, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cyril. I used to be a stem cell researcher for many years, and this is why I can tell you about the science behind skincare ingredients. So apparently you really enjoyed my video from last week where I basically spilled some tea on some of product that I will never buy. So here we are again. I'm going to do another video about 3 products that I will never buy. But this time I have decided to choose products that are a little bit different in the sense that the overall formula is not necessarily that bad, but I'm just basically going to tell you why I will never buy them. So the first product is one from Drunk Elephant. So I have decided a couple of months ago to stop just reviewing any product from Drunk Elephant for a simple reason. It's because of the first of all the philosophy that is completely inaccurate, and also that tricks your mind by thinking that because they don't use this and this, it makes the product overall better, which is not the case. A good product is not because you have avoided certain ingredients, it's simply because you have formulated well without any ingredient that can irritate the skin, for example. The other reasons is simply because how Drunk Elephant social team treat people. I have seen far too often the social team answering some claims from consumers that were telling them that, oh, I got any irritation with your product, what can I do? And basically the social team tell the consumer that, well, because we avoid those suspicious ingredients, therefore our product cannot be blamed, and it is because you have used something else. I'm like, no, I'm sorry, but no. In Drunk Elephant formula, there are ingredients that are problematic. They are, that is true, less problematic than more, I would say, conventional brands that use ton of perfume and essential oils, but still they can be problematic. They also have product that simply has a crazy concentration of acid. I'm thinking about the baby facial. This one is super potent for certain skin type, like my skin type, for example, on retinol. It's just going to burn myself. Not to mention that they don't necessarily have proper advice about how to use that product. I'm sorry if you are hearing some noise right now because I have my dog that plays in the room. Okay, so the first product that I do want to talk about, and it's also because I don't think that I will never emphasize enough how important it is to use a good sunscreen, and it is about the Umbra Sheer Physical Daily Defense from Drunk Elephant, which is an SPF of 30. So the first thing is simply the SPF. So the SPF stands for the Sun Protection Factors, which is basically the number that indicates you the level of protection against sunburn. And we know that the sunburn is triggered mostly by UVB and also a little bit about UVA. This is something that is not enough said. With an SPF of 30, the problem is that basically you have more UVB that goes into your skin compared to an SPF of 50 plus. With an SPF of 50 plus, so an SPF of 60 or above, if it is an SPF of 60, you have twice as less UVB that goes into your skin. So a twofold reduction of UVB, which is in reality a lot. Despite all the stuff that you can read online, this is a huge difference. The other major difference, especially with this sunscreen, because it is only a mineral-based sunscreen, is simply the fact that in general, an SPF of 30 will have a lower UVA protection than an SPF of 50 plus, which is probably something that is even more important on the SPF than the SPF on a day-to-day basis, because when you are mostly indoors, like I am currently, what will impact my skin will mostly be UVA. And we know now that the UVA protection is probably even more important than the SPF on a day-to-day basis, because if you are mostly indoors, like we should all be in the world currently, like I am now in my home, what will impact my skin is UVA and not UVB, because most windows filters UVB, but not UVA, especially the UVA type 1, which are the ones that are the most aging. So in Europe, but also in Australia, the UVA protection is always indexed with the SPF, so the UVA protection should be 1/3 of the SPF. So with an SPF of 30 in Europe, you basically will have a UVA protection of 10. Of course, it could be higher, but a protection of 10 is like tiny, tiny, tiny. In general, mineral-based sunscreen are not the best for the UVA protection because you cannot achieve a super high UVA protection. So the mineral sunscreen that I know of that have the highest UVA protection is, for example, the one from Bioderma, the Photoderm Nude. So this one uses a mix of zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. Zinc oxide is a broad spectrum filters that filters UVB, UVA type 2, and also UVA type 1, while titanium dioxide filters UVB, UVA type 2, and a tiny bit of UVA type 1. And even with this one that I don't know exactly the concentration of UV filters, you achieve around a UVA protection of 25, which is obviously good on a day-to-day basis, but you cannot achieve a protection of 30. With this one, I do think that this formula is really, really not well done, and especially in one aspect, which is the dispersion of the UV filter. So this is probably something that you have never heard of. But basically, when you are making a sunscreen, there are different criteria. The first one is, of course, simply the choice of filters. Do the filters cover UVB, UVA type 1, and UVA type 2? Then is, of course, the concentration, because if the concentration of filters is tiny, tiny, it won't do much. And in addition of this is the dispersion of the cream inside of the UV filters inside the vehicle, so basically the rest of the ingredient. If the dispersion is a bit patchy, and I would say gloopy, so if you look under a microscope, you have like the UV filter that are just collected with lots of gaps into the cream. What's going to happen is that when you are going to apply it on your face, you will have in certain spots a concentration of the UV filters and other area which basically will not be covered by UV filter. Hence why the SPF here is only of an SPF of 30, because you can't find in the market, such as the one from Color Science, it has less zinc oxide than this one. This one contains 20% of zinc oxide, and still the one from Color Science has a higher SPF. So this just shows you that this formula is really, really not well done, especially in terms of the dispersion of UV filters, which is the thing that is the most important with the sunscreen. You do want to have the filtration system and also simply your sunscreens to work and protect your skin. So I do think that basically this sunscreen has a super low UVA protection, so I will never recommend it. And again, this is an SPF of 30. Currently, we can't find elegant SPF 50 plus in the market. So why decrease the protection when you can have better? Now, if we look at the overall, I would say, formula, this is very Drunk Elephant-like. So the first ingredient is capric tree glycerin. So it is a very, very common one, also a super affordable ingredient. Then you have pentylene glycol and glycerin. So both of them are humectant. Pentylene glycol is also quite useful to dilute other ingredients. Because this formula also contains, of course, the marula oil. You have other blend of oil, such as sunflower oil. You have an extract, and you have also the oil by itself. You have jojoba oil, which is another one, an excellent one. I mean, raspberry oil. I mean, why not? The problem with those, and this is something that I've already said in my channel, is that when you have a complex mix of botanical ingredients, even in oil, you can never exclude the fact that some people will just react to them. It is, of course, better to have a blend of botanical oil than a blend of fragrant botanical oil, obviously. But still keep this in mind. There's also one of the preservative here, which is chlorophyllene that you have at the end of the formula. That also has some report that it can trigger also allergies. So despite all the claim, this product is not safer than other one that you can find in the market. The last point that really drives me crazy is that if you know the philosophy about Drunk Elephant, they are basically against silicone, which is completely silly, because first of all, there is no scientific evidence to show that silicone are bad or damaging for the skin, which of course doesn't mean that you cannot be the one person that will react to them or that your skin will not like them. But the other point with this is that the silicone family is a very, very complex family. It would be as if you say, oh no, I cannot eat all form of sugars, but rice is made of sugar, it's made of starch. Corn is also made of starch. Table sugar is, of course, a form of sugars. The sugar in the milk in the form of lactose is another type of sugar. So it is exactly the same with silicone. You have different type of silicone that have different properties of the skin. They are just named silicone because the main component is always the same, which is basically a silane. And what is the difference between a silane and a siloxane, so a silicone, is that the same unit that you find in silane is repeated several times, and in that case you have the silicone family. And why am I telling you this? Because in this formula, even though they said there is no chemical sunscreen, which I really dislike because, well, guess what? Every skincare, whether it is a sunscreen or not, is made of chemical. Even water is a chemical. It is one of the best solvents that we have here, and that also powers our cells. So I'm sorry, but no, chemical sunscreen does not exist. I know that they refer to organic filters, which is different. Again, completely silly. We have a ton of different organic filters. Now, some of them are extremely safe, such as the tinols of S. There is also no report that tinols of S goes into the blood, for example, even though others like octinoxate and vulbenzone, we know that they could enter the bloodstream. That doesn't mean that they are necessarily bad. However, we have a ton of data to show how bad UVB are for the skin. And what do you have here? You have a silane. You have the tritoxycaprylyl silane, and this one is often used to coat the zinc oxide. So I'm sorry, but this is chemistry. This is a chemical filters. The zinc oxide is coated with this special sealant to help to be dispersed into the formula. I find it very shady because most people will not know this, but this silane is made of silicium with hydrogen, which is the same thing that you will find in silicone. So again, why ban silicone and not the silane? No sense. Of course, what are your alternatives? I mean, on my channel, I have a ton of sunscreen to recommend. So the one that I have currently, just around me, I have 3 that I want to show you. So the first one is this one. This is the Klairs, the Soft Airy UV Essence. SPF 50 plus, PA rating of 4+. I do think that this one on an everyday basis is simply beautiful. The texture, so lovely. It is like this sort of gel lotion-like. I mean, so pleasant. I would say the dupe of this one that is, in a sense, even better because this one has one essential oils from mandarin, is this one from Purito. This is the Scented Green Label Unscented Sun. Again, SPF 50 plus, PA rating of 4+. So Purito does disclose the UVA protection, which I really like. It is a PA protection of 22. So this one is a little bit creamier, and also I do find that the texture is slightly less pleasant than the Klairs. I really love the Klairs, especially to use as my hand moisturizer on a day-to-day basis. The last one that I want to show you is a mineral sunscreen and a mineral based sunscreen, and this one is very well formulated compared to the one from Jungle Elephant. Is also this one from Purito. This is the Comfy Water, the Sunblock SPF 50 plus, PA rating of 4+. So this one has a UVA protection of 19. So that's not perfect, but if your skin tends to react to a lot of sunscreen, especially if you're suffering from acne on a day-to-day basis when you are mostly at home, this one is a great option. So the next one is from a very, I would say, bougie and expensive brand. This is one from Sunday Ridley. This is the Good Genes, the lactic acid treatment, and this one retail for $85. So super expensive, and when you look at the formula, what makes this product work is simply lactic acid. So nothing new here. I mean, peeling have been around in the skincare market for years and years, and you can find amazing peeling product without any perfume, without any, I would say, wrong ingredient now for a very affordable price. So again, I know that this product is going to work simply because it has lactic acid, but it costs $85. So what drives me a little bit crazy with those type of marks is that they put a super high price, even though they use some very basic ingredients that are really well known to work without any added value. Because I can understand that sometimes, and especially if you have the money, that you want to buy something that is more expensive. I totally get it, but if you are going to charge someone for $85, I really want to have ingredients like top notch, and especially to have technology that are very innovative, and this is not really the case of this one. This is basically a lactic acid based serum that is quite moisturizing, and that also has some problematic ingredient. So let's look at the formula. So I would have loved to know the concentration of lactic acid, but it is not disclosed. I would guess that it's probably at 2%. So if we look at the formula, you will see that the lactic acid, it is pretty low, I would say, in the formula. So it just appears after actually the preservative system. So this one is the Loconostock radish root ferment filtrate. So this one, if I'm not mistaken, this is the exact same bacteria that actually is used to fermented the kimchi in Korean. If you know Korean cuisine, you will know probably what kimchi is, but anyway, this is not relevant here. And in skincare, usually it's used between 2 to 4%. So I would guess, because there are also some pictures that are included in this product to show that it works, it is probably between 2 to 4% of lactic acid in this formula, which for everyday use, it's completely fine. You can even probably, some skin type can even use it morning and PM for sure. So the lactic acid here is mainly the main active that will do something on your face. The problem with the rest of the formula is that you have a problematic ingredient in the form of an essential oils with the lemongrass oil that you find also in the hand. You also have quite a lot of botanical extract. You have you have two from Opotunia, for example. You have an extract from agave. Aloe vera is absolutely fine. So, I mean, when you look at the formula, it's not overly bad, but again, there's nothing amazing. So why pay $85 for this? You can go straight away and buy the 5% lactic acid from The Ordinary and just use it after you cleanse your skin every evening, and you will have the exact same results than with this one. Other alternative, especially if you don't want to use lactic acid but you prefer another AHA, another alpha hydroxy acid, you can try mandelic acid. So this one is from Chicken Joe and Gorgeous. This is the 6% mandelic plus BHA liquid. This one, especially if you have mild acne, is a good one to consider because you have salicylic acid in this one. You can also simply use the mandelic acid at 5% from by Restaurant. That is also excellent, and the formula is even better than this one. I mean, you have a ton of different options that will cost a fraction of the price of this one. So the last one is again from a pretty expensive brand. This is from Dr. Dennis Gross. This is their Ferulic plus Retinol Wrinkle Recovery Overnight Serum in French. Acide Ferulic plus Retinol Sérum de Nuit Anti-Rides. So this one again, it retails for €100. So a lot of money for a retinol product where you don't even know the concentration. I have ton and ton of video about retinol on my channel. What is very, very important with retinol is simply to know the concentration of retinol in order to know what will be your results from it. So obviously from a serum with retinol, the main ingredient that will really do something for your skin is retinol and not the rest of ingredient. Here, I don't know the concentration, which is pretty problematic. So the overall formula actually is not that bad. You have problematic ingredient again at the end. You have, for example, bergamot fruit extract, which is most likely an essential oils. And you have citron lemon peel extract, which is basically an essential oil from lemon. You have also a flower extract from lavender. So this one, I am not sure if it is the fragrant component or an extract from the stem cells from lavender, which is in that case completely different. So those are the problematic ingredients. Really, if you are starting your work with retinol, I really discourage you to use any fragrant products and also products that just contain essential oils or alcohol, because you don't know how well your skin will cope with the retinol, so they can be very problematic. So here I also look at how to use it. So they basically say to use it at night, which is a good advice because we know that retinol is sensitive to light. Also, you should wear your sunscreen every single day, so this is not a major issue. Why I do prefer to use retinol in the evening is because you can go hard with your moisturizer, which is what you want to do in the evening. Then they say massage 2 to 3 pumps into clean, dry skin for optimal results. Use the Ferulic plus Retinol Wrinkle Recovery Peel, and you follow by a moisturizer. Use sunscreen during the day. They don't even mention if you need to start with twice a week, for example, once a week, every single evening. So basically looking at that, I would expect that the concentration of retinol is pretty low, so probably under the 0.3. If we look now at the formula to find where is retinol, it is actually quite high in the formula. So it means two things. Either it is at 1%, the maximum concentration, or lower. So basically, I do think that because you found the retinol such at a high position in the ingredient list and you don't have any disclaimer about retinol, it is most likely a very low concentration, which means that the rest of the ingredient will be in a tiny concentration. Again, for the price, I mean, you are paying almost 100 euros, so invest in another retinol. This being said, there are some interesting ingredients in the mix. You have, of course, niacinamide, that is really high, so I would expect it to be probably around 2%. I would love to. You have also a nice blend of emollient. You have cetyl alcohol. There is the name alcohol, but this is not an ethanol. It is an emollient that has an alcohol radical in chemistry, so this is something completely different. You have jojoba esters that I also really like. You also have some nice humectant like the collagen amino acid, hyaluronic acid also. Again, hyaluronic acid is most of the time used under 1%, around 0.5%, even lower than that. So the rest of ingredients, again, at a tiny concentration. I mean, the rest of ingredient is not bad. You also have linoleic acid, linolenic acid, so omega-6 and omega-3. Those ones are excellent. But again, at the end, you have those problematic ingredients. So basically what I'm telling you is that this formula, there is a part that is really well known. I wish I would know the retinol concentration, which we don't know. It is at a super high price, and you also have essential oils. So again, this is not a product that I will buy. It most likely, if you use it every single day, you will have some results with it if it has a decent amount of retinol. If you want to invest into an expensive retinol that's really worth the price, try this one from Photoderm, the 1% treatment. So this is hence the name a treatment. 1% of retinol is very high. Most of the results are very reminiscent to the lower concentration of tretinoin. You can also simply try the other one from Paulette Choice, which is the clinical ceramide firming moisturizer. So this one contains 0.1% of retinol. So pretty low concentration of retinol, but you have also a beautiful blend of derivative of vitamin C that will really change your skin, and that will be, of course, gentler than the 1% retinol. So, as always, comment down below. I'm thinking that maybe for next week I could do another video like this one, but talking about French products, such as one from Caudalie or Nude in English. So, tell me and leave your suggestion down below. Again, thank you for being here. If you're new, please consider to subscribe to my channel and don't forget to ring the little bell. Also, I have an Instagram account. I am Cyril Laurent. Ton of stuff over there. So please go and follow me or you will miss a lot. Thank you for being here and I will see you next time. Au revoir.